Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Sagittarius. If Sagittarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so this is a bonus reading for Sagittarius, and we have the Knight of Cups. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and check out these tea leaves and see what they have to say. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. All right. So immediately, I'm seeing this little face right here. We can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth. And I feel like it's almost kind of, right off the bat, there's just this kind of really chill energy. Kind of maybe, I almost feel like this is a person in your life, a family member who maybe isn't always around. They kind of come and go. Travel a lot. Maybe they live in a different area of the country or even like on a different continent or whatever it is. But whenever they kind of come into town, right, to visit or there's an event, a family gathering, what have you, this person brings with them such an energy of ease. You feel almost kind of like the stressors, the tedium, the chaos of mundane life kind of goes out the window. You don't even think about how tired you are, how many things you have to do. Are you falling behind? What else can you pack into a day? No, all of those feelings kind of dissipate. This is an energy that it takes you in. And I almost feel like could be like a brother, right? A cousin, a good friend from your younger years. So I feel like, coming up here, there is maybe a visitation happening. Something going on in your life, in the greater collective of your family, that'll allow for this reunion. And I think you're really looking forward to it. I think this is something that it'll bring a little bit of a reprieve, right? So this is exciting news for you, and I look forward to it for you. It's almost kind of like if you could think of the feeling of a vacation coming, right? You're gonna go soon, but it's a person, right? The person brings the energy of having a vacation, and so yes, this is going to be just a nice time of year, I think, in general for you, and so this will be coming soon in this next month or so, I imagine. Okay, let's see. We're going to keep going here. And so if you would be so kind as to like the video, it does help the channel. I know, and I hate bringing it up. But I'm supposed to, I need to, And if you want to leave a comment, if this is your first time watching, yeah, please leave a comment. Let me know you're here for the first time. And welcome. Definitely welcome. Okay, so we have, it looks like a person here wearing a robe. Okay, you can see the head, you can see their arm extended, kind of hanging down, kind of the outline of the robe down here. They're holding out, it looks like a check mark, maybe a heart. It reminds me very much of, well, a priest or a, oh, what are they called? Altar boy? Is that what they, with the, yeah. With like those choir robes, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, you know, maybe it was that in your childhood, you grew up in a family that was involved in some kind of religious order. Now I'm thinking in my mind, you know, immediately of Catholicism. That doesn't have to be the case. Right? I think that this is a sense of, I don't know, it doesn't feel that it was necessarily something that you disliked greatly. But I do think that there was a certain atmosphere, right, to growing up, maybe abiding and it's a community. I think it really is less about the actual beliefs or tenets maybe, but it's about the community. And I think you felt maybe outside of this, right? Like maybe you didn't belong in this situation and around people who felt the way that they did. You were just kind of going through the motions, right? And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's kind of almost this return to finding some kind of spiritual order in your life, right? And I think a lot of times when we come to these places where we're starting to look once again for some kind of spiritual, divine meaning in our lives, of course we're taken back to those most early exposures to other people's faith and belief and their adherence and everything else. And depending on, you know, how that played out for you, that could be something that really kind of discourages you from continuing a renewed spiritual path. And it might be that it was somewhat traumatic or that it just was something you didn't like. It was not your cup of tea, right? It wasn't your cup of tea. But I think as you get further and further into this work that is calling for you, right? I think that you are beginning to realize that there are so many avenues of faith. It does not have to look like anything that you have ever experienced. In fact, you can create it from the bottom up. You don't have to adhere to any prescribed belief or technique or system of devotion or worship or any of that. And as a Sagittarius person, I think that sometimes you forget how autonomous you really are in your own life, right? That's not to say that you're like a follower. That's not what I mean. But I think that so often there is this desire to belong to something, right? To be among people, to be in a collective that feels safe and unwavering, right? to have a promise of some longevity, right? Consistency, for things to not only make sense, but feel so meaningful. And while you're doing that, you know, have peers within this work. And so I feel like this will be a period of time where you are looking, you are searching, you're trying out some things. You know, I think it's really so important for us that are in a life of faith, whatever that looks like, that we explore, right? Go to different services, go to different kinds of, you know, temples and mosques and there's so many different congregations and sects of Christianity. All of the Abrahamic religions have a variation. Now it depends on where you live, of course, right? What kind of access you have. But I do feel in my heart of hearts, and this is coming from somebody who has been to many, many different kinds of religious orders and ceremonies and, well, I'm saying ceremonies, a service, right? Service, mass, temple. And I guess for me, you know, and it doesn't matter what I think really, but for me in my own life, I feel, you know, like, I think the pull that people have to like have power, success, money, these kinds of things. So I am looking for places of grace, to be in atmospheres that feel divine, I can feel people in their grace. I love to be in spaces that feel holy. And, you know, maybe all of us do. But for me, it is, there's very little else, right? My daughter, you know, my husband. And that's about it. That, you know, well, and the cats, of course. I love the cats. You know, but anything, those are elevated. But my relationship with the divine, this is the thing that drives me. And so, you know, and that's, I'm not trying to, somebody said the other day on the comments in one of my readings, oh, it seems like you're always virtue signaling or whatever that's called. Listen, I'm a lowly person. I am just as flawed and silly and unknowing and clumsy and wrong in my own estimation of things so often, right? There's no virtue signaling here. I don't partake, right? I don't care about that stuff. I love people. I love to be with people, hear people, you know, commune. Ultimately, I don't care what people think. So therefore, I have no reason to try to pull up and show off my virtues, right? You know, so whatever. I thought that I had to have a little giggle about that one. But yeah, I like to share. I want to share with you, you know, some of the ideas that I have. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they're worthwhile to one or two people that sees a reading. But I do feel that it is so important to go on these kind of tours of how other people are celebrating their faith and where they are deriving meaning. You know, I think so often we live in a world that is quite cynical. very compartmentalized, segregated in a lot of ways, right? And what we feel we should and shouldn't do, right? And or where we should go, or what we should, and really what it comes down to, okay, when you're on a spiritual path, and I'm only speaking of looking for the divine in things and places, we should cast our net widely. I feel you won't change my mind. I think it's so important that we remain open-minded, open-hearted. We have the utmost tolerance for each other, for our practices and so on. Okay. And I don't mean to get preachy, I'm sorry, but so I look at this and I feel like, yeah, there's like a draw for you, looking and seeing what, maybe I don't want to carry on the religion of my family. Maybe I do. Maybe I find some parts meaningful and other parts not, right? And that's okay. That's the beauty of life. We're composite beings. So go out. Yeah. And it really is. It's like nourishment, right? Enrichment. Go see what you can see. Go visit some holy sites. Go to places that, ancient or modern, contemporary, it doesn't matter. Go to all of the different things. Go look in your area. You'd be amazed. Wherever you live, you would be amazed at the things that have probably, kind of faded into the background. But I'm sure that there are holy sites around you. I'm sure that there are, places that you had no idea existed. Do some research. There's one, and now this isn't just for, religious sites or whatever, but there's that Atlas Obscura, and they kind of have oddities and things like that, but also, yeah, really kind of interesting sites and places that hold, different energies, places along the ley lines and so on. So go check that out, because I look at this and I feel like there really is this feeling of coming into a place in your life where you're searching, you're seeking. And it is looking for you as well, right? So let's see, what else do we have? Well, right next to it, let's just, yes, and here we go. We have, it looks like a person who is on a wagon, right? And we have the horse over here. So kind of gives off the similar energy to the chariot. But when I see the wagon, I know that there is not only movement, the horse usually indicates there's some kind of change in your life, and it is intentional. Now, when we have the whole wagon there, that lets me know that there is a move, right? There's something bigger than just kind of deciding to change some aspects of your life. This is literally kind of moving your whole life, putting it in the back of the car, in a truck, and, moving to a new home or a new city or whatever. It also could be joining a family, leaving a family, maybe, marriage, divorce, moving in with somebody. And also lastly, it could be leaving a job, right? And obviously either retiring or going on to the next, right? And everything in between. I mean, there's a lot of things. You could be focusing on health, or taking some time off, or whatever it is. But with the wagon, this is a fundamental life change. This is something that you've been working up to for a while. It's not just kind of on a whim, right? If you think about putting together, getting the horse, I was going to say all strapped up. I don't know. What is it called? Getting it dressed. No, getting it, getting the bridle on, and I don't know what they put on for I don't know the names, right? My daughter's taking horse riding lessons, and I've been slowly learning some of the names of things. I've never been around horses, so it's all new to me as well. And her horse riding coach is just, she's lovely, and she's so good with kids. So it's been fun for my daughter, but it's been fun for me as well. But what I have learned is it takes some time to get them ready, and then to get the wagon attached and all of that. This is a very intentional process, right? It's not just like I'm jumping on the back of an animal with no saddle on, right? So, yes, you've been planning this. And I just feel generally there's such it's like you're going through an overhaul of life, right? And I feel like there's this, it's kind of like these stirrings that are coming about. Now, this could be something akin to like what they call, the midlife crisis, right? But I think more than that, it's kind of this it's a real energy of like, I wake up and I realize like my life is going so quickly. And maybe it's not a bad life. Maybe you've worked very hard to get the things that you want, to get the things that you need, first and foremost, but then also the things that you want. And that's been well enough. But time has passed and the world is changing, and it's changing yet. And it's like, I need something deeper. I need something more meaningful. I need to do something for myself before it's too late, right? Before I can't. And I think that's the real thing here, is that you've given so much of yourself for so long. And that's okay. And I think for the most part, you feel like that's been quite fulfilling. But now is like your time. And I think this is why you are so interested in discovering your faith, or a deeper faith, a spiritual experience. It's not just kind of more of the same. I also think this is why the universe is kind of timing having your person come back around to visit. Where did they go? Oh, here we have a grandmother. Look at that. On the side here, you have the eye and the nose and the mouth here. But having your family member come and visit to see you, to whatever it is, however, whenever, whyever. That sounds weird, whyever. Why they are coming. But the universe is kind of putting them in there for you. And I think that it's because of these immense shifting feelings. And to have something that is familiar and that is kind and is beloved, and to be with somebody who, just, it feels safe. It feels safe, and there's a connection, and you don't have to think about it too much. There's just love there and respect. And that's a big thing too, especially for a Sagittarius person. When there is a mutual respect, that is such an important bond to you. And so I feel like this comes in to play, and it is helpful to maybe finding some clarity in these movements that you are making. So let's take a look. We also have this little heart. We have 2 of them. We have the cardinal up here. So a loved one who has transitioned, who has passed away, coming through, and that's what the cardinal is usually. When we see a cardinal, we know somebody we love is visiting us. When you see it out your kitchen window, when you're in the garden, it's like a little kiss on the cheek. So it feels like somebody that was young when they passed away. And I feel like, you know, for you that was very difficult. If this was a family member, if this was a good friend, but it was like they went before their time. And I think it was such a devastating ordeal. And I think I wonder if this is kind of what, I mean, ultimately led you away from your practices or your want to be searching for some years, because I think it's like it doesn't make sense. How could I live in a world what does anything mean if these kinds of things can happen, right? And I think that's a feeling we all know to some degree, right? It's hard to live in a shared reality and see the things that happen, and especially when it happens in our personal life, right? And it's hard to make sense of it, the tragedies. But I think that it's, you know, this is kind of like it's a calling. It's a thing that never goes away for you, even when you kind of push it out of your mind. And that is this looking for some kind of higher meaning, right? It's just something that you can't forget about. It comes up fairly often, but then there are times like right now where I think it's such a central focus for you. And so, you know, I think that there's really this kind of energy surrounding you that is kind of supporting you in this, and I'll say it again, exploration. And I think that these are your ancestors. These are the kind of thought forms and intelligences that have emerged through your living. And, you know, I feel like this is the thing, you know, and it all makes sense why you're trying to kind of resort things and switch the variables around and stuff, because it is. Sometimes we just get into these places in our life where it's like you have a splinter in your foot, and it cannot be plucked until you really put in the work, right? And so, this isn't, to me, I look at this and I think it's a very exciting time. you know, to have the energy, the will, and the motivation to be searching in this way. And maybe there is travel for you. You know, it might be that you are even considering, you know, going abroad, going on some kind of pilgrimage. Just the idea of a pilgrimage gets me so excited. Like, you know, so yeah, I could see this building in you. A wanting, right? Okay. Let's do our divine doors. Okay, and we're just going to flip through, and I'm going to stop where it feels right. Here we go. It says freedom flows. Don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Dream grand things for divine sacred reasons. There we go. Dream grand things for divine sacred reasons. Sometimes it's like you just have to. There's no other option, you know? It can't be quieted. So, Sagittarius, I'm going to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. If this is your first time, thank you for getting to the end of the reading. Yeah, go ahead and comment. Let me know that this is your first reading from me. And yeah, other than that, I just want to tell you I love you. Thank you for all the love and support during these floody times. It's been so much water in this area. Thankfully, the rivers and lakes seem to be going down, although now we have another series of storms coming. So, you know, it's been a mess over here in the upper Midwest. You know, but thank you for continuing to send your love and support. We're good. Let me just be clear. We are fine. We had just a little bit of water in the basement, right? Which is where our studios are at. And I'm saying we, my husband and I, Devin Serpent Tarot. His name is Paul. He does have a name. We're fine. Our larger community, on the other hand, really a lot of people in a bad place. You know, a lot of us in the world, it seems, has been affected by all kinds of different weather events. And, you know, at some point, right? So you understand how tiring and difficult it can be for people. So if you could say a little prayer for our neighbors in our community, it would be so greatly appreciated. And if you are going through it in some way, you know, the heat, the cold, you know, fires, water, winds and tropical storms and all kinds of things, you know, I send you my love and I thank you, you know, for being here. I hope that you are safe. I hope your family's safe, and I will keep you in my heart. So, all right, Sagittarius, again, I thank you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk in a couple days. Good night.